Episode 3 points the finger at Carol, making her the prime suspect in her husband Floyd's death. But perhaps the biggest theme of the episode is that Floyd was willing to accept people like his stepson Richard or modern love Christopher for who they were. Yet he was unwilling to accept his own larger weight. Did that kill Floyd? Let's solve DTF St. Louis, Episode 3, The Go-Getter. When Detective Plumb discovers that Carol has lied about key details of her affair, she presses Detective Homer to let her question Clark. Once in the hot seat, unsettling truths about Clark's relationship with both Floyd and Carol begin to come to light. We break down each episode for clues, suspects, and red herrings on the hunt to learn who killed Floyd, if he was killed. Spoilers for the first 3 episodes of DTF St. Louis. If you haven't seen the first 3 episodes, pause this video, go to your front door, and see if your sex robot has arrived from Amazon, and then come back and watch. Use the timestamps below to jump to the topic or suspect that you want to hear about and skip past things you don't want to hear about. At the end of this podcast, we'll go over the theory that Floyd's death wasn't a murder, but a tragic accident. So far, I'm 1 for 2 on my theories. After the first episode, I talked about how that missing second recumbent bike would be either used by Carol or Floyd. In this episode, we see both of them using it. We know it's probably at their house. Did stepson Richard use it? Now, in my theory after episode 2, I suspected that Clark may have set up modern love with Floyd as a way to make Floyd look bad to his wife. But that definitely does not seem to be true after this episode. I'm going to take a pause from looking at all the clues and just mention that this television program, which is set in St. Louis, was actually filmed in Atlanta, my hometown. The Jamba Juice was filmed in downtown Atlanta's Five Points area. If you're familiar with the area known as Underground Atlanta, if you look out this window, you can see this Coca-Cola sign where Coca-Cola was first sold was at that location. And through a blur, you can see this Underground Atlanta sign as well. All these biking scenes and the scenes of Carol jogging, those take place in Piedmont Park. And in this episode, the diner where Floyd met modern love, that's just 1 mile from my house. I drive by it every day. I drove by it earlier today. Atlanta is not St. Louis, but hopefully it's doing a good job. I've been getting such great feedback in YouTube comments, social media posts, emails, and I want to thank the DTS Down to Solve crew. I'm putting your names up here in the YouTube video. There have been so many comments. If I miss a name, just yell at me and say, hey, you forgot to put my name up on the screen. Thank you guys for all your great theories, comments. We're going to solve this. We're going to know who killed Floyd. We have a couple of new people here who are subscribing. Thank you so much. Here at Double PHQ, we do 2 types of podcasts. One type is a typical after show where me and my friends, we talk about, theorize, break down all the latest episodes of our favorite shows. We also have our Let's Solve series, where we break down murder mystery shows by the clues and really try to solve them. If you like this format, please, we do Only Murders in the Building. We've done The After Party, A Murder at the End of the World, Magpie Murders, Moonflower Murders. If you haven't watched any of those shows yet, know you can start them and watch our podcasts episode by episode as we try to solve those great whodunnits. Before we run down the suspects, let's take a look at what episode 3 taught us about the victim, Floyd Smernitch. Who knew this? Floyd was married before to a fortune teller. And Floyd, this we probably could have guessed, Floyd is in a lot of debt. Now some of the debt is paying alimony to that fortune teller first wife. He also has 5 years of tax debt. He doesn't have any life insurance. He's got this curved penis, which is driving him crazy. He's put on a few pounds. Floyd had the stress of the world, but he seemingly didn't want to push that onto anybody else. He internalized it. That couldn't have been healthy. We understand that Floyd definitely needed some readers. He needed some glasses so he could look at the fine print. He could not tell that Modern Love's profile was a picture of a man, David Bowie, and not a lovely woman. I mentioned it at the top, but Floyd wanted to be supportive of everyone, including Modern Love's desire to French kiss. The big reveal is not so much that Floyd actually kissed Modern Love, but that he was riding home from the breakfast on a recumbent bike. on Clark's second recumbent bike. Now, Floyd is frustrated and not sexually satisfied in his marriage, and there's this one shot which I believe the way it's supposed to imply is that Floyd is despondent because his DTF profile, Rock Solid, hasn't been getting any hits. Nobody's been hitting him up. As viewers, we still haven't learned about the blunt force which caused Clark's curvage. Is that going to be something they hold off for the final episode? We shall have to see. Floyd has a couple of health scares in this episode. He passed out from the heat when he was doing that signing assignment on the heat wave. Later, he is really out of breath after doing his gymnastic routine on the hostile architecture there at the playground. One consistent, though, is Floyd wants to lose this weight. At the pool house where Floyd died, we see him doing push-ups. Now let's turn to the suspects, weatherman Clark Forrest, aka Tiger. Back when he was 18, Clark was busted for holding a small bag of marijuana while he was an exchange student in Canada. You know, I don't want to kink shame anybody, but Clark's kinks are almost removing himself from them. You know, last week he talked about he wanted to have sex with Carol where she went about her daily routine as if he wasn't there. This week we see he's a sex robot, not really himself, and he wants to be powerhoused. Clark says, and I think we can believe it, that he did have love for Floyd. The love didn't stop him from sleeping with Floyd's wife, but Clark had a connection to Floyd that the physical connection with Floyd's wife Carol seemingly never matched. Now with that love, what did Clark think? He was wearing his glasses. He must have noticed that the profile picture of modern love was a man. Why did Clark not say anything? Throughout the episode, Clark is pushed to help Floyd and Carol financially. Did he actually take out a life insurance policy for Floyd? Did Clark actually order drugs like the amphazine that he knew Floyd needed? Finally, Clark claims not to recognize that final key. Do you recognize it? If you like these murder mysteries and trying to solve them and going down the rabbit hole of clues, please subscribe. I want you along for this journey, and I want you to join the DTS Down to Solve crew. Floyd's widow, Carol. Carol, as we mentioned last week, we didn't know how long she waited for Clark to show up. Well, it turns out Carol waited all day, drinking go-getter after go-getter, waiting for Clark to show up. The episode implies that Carol may have been setting up Clark to help her and her family become more financially stable. Carol listens to these self-help tapes that suggest all relationships are a give and take, and you always got to look out for number one. You've always got to get something out of relationships. Take something from every relationship. Carol mentions life insurance multiple times. The actress who plays Carol, Linda Cardellini, was asked, hey, did Carol seduce Clark because she was attracted to him or because she saw an opportunity to, help get some of this financial stress off her family? And the actress said, I think it's potentially both things. Hey, I like this guy, and hey, maybe he also might be able to help my family. As I mentioned earlier, Carol is seen riding the recumbent bike with Clark. At the end of this episode, when her son Richard says that, hey, they could be out of money, Carol tells her son that it's going to be okay. Despite all these things which set up Carol to be the femme fatale, we're also told in this episode that Carol wanted to restart her physical relationship with Floyd. Is it any chance that even though Clark is Tiger, the setup between Rock Solid and Tiger was almost like role play to get Carol there so she and her husband could get it on? Did Carol kill her husband? Do you think yes she did? Or do you think no way, Jose? Floyd's stepson Richard. Richard, the vest he always wears is a fishing vest. In a plan to help Richard be more social, Floyd sets up a spreadsheet of things he can do every day to make steps to be a better person. Really makes you wonder what other spreadsheets are on that computer. Christopher Robert Spruce, aka Modern Love. David Bowie was a huge hero to Christopher when Christopher was younger. Christopher almost outed himself when he told his friends that he thought one of the Solid Gold dancers who was a guy was hot. Currently, Christopher manages a roller rink, and he does some seemingly odd things I've never seen at a roller rink, a skating rink. He says he does roller magic, roller hypnotism. Yeah, what exactly are those? Anybody know? Go down in the comments, let me know. What do you think? So let's go to my theory. I wrote it in some comments on YouTube last week, but I really think that Floyd says, hey, I got another hookup with this guy, Tiger. He says it to Clark. I think when he says that at the time, he knows Clark is Tiger. And he's either trying to reveal it, similar to how Floyd used sign language to let Clark know that he was on to Clark sleeping with his wife, Carol. That's what I tend to think this meeting was, is it was either a planned thing of, hey, I'm going to meet Tiger to out you, Clark, for doing this behind my back, or it was a way that Clark was setting up for Floyd and his wife, Carol, to have a spark, to maybe do it in a different place rather than the bedroom. And like that would alleviate it. Now, as I mentioned at the very top, Floyd was desperate to lose this weight. Would amphazine, which I assume is an amphetamine, would that help Floyd's weight loss? Did he accidentally give himself a heart attack? That's what it really feels like after this episode. And as you may know, I always mention the real life case, which was the inspiration. Not the basis, but an inspiration for this show. One of the theories is that the real-life victim accidentally took this overdose. And could that be the same solution here? We're almost halfway through. What do you guys think? Go down in the comments on YouTube and let me know. If you're listening to the audio podcast, I want to hear from you at PPHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook. We love talking to you. Next week, we will be at the midpoint, episode 4. Talk to you then.